Hi, boys and girls. Today I am going to be reading Horton Hears a Who. On the 15th of May in the jungle of noon, in the splash of the day and the cool of the pool. He was splashing, enjoying the jungle's great joy, when Horton the elephant heard a small noise. Horton stopped splashing. He looked toward the sound. That's funny, thought Horton. There's no one around. Then he heard it again, just a very faint yelp, as if some tiny person was calling for help. I'll help you, said Horton. But who are you? Where? He looked and he looked and he could see nothing there but a small speck of dust blowing past in the air. I say, murmured Horton, I've never heard tell of a small speck of dust that was able to yell. So you know what I think? Why, I think there must be someone on top of that small speck of dust, some sort of creature of very small size, too small to be seen by an elephant's eyes. Some poor little person who's shaking in fear that he'll blow in the pool he has no way to steer. I'll just have to save him because, after all, a person's a person, no matter how small. So, gently and using the greatest of care, the elephant stretched his great trunk through the air, and he lifted the dust speck and carried it over and placed it down safe on a very small, soft clover. A voice. 'Twas a sour kangaroo, and the young kangaroo in her pouch said, too. While that speck is as small as the head of a pin, a person on that, why there never has been. Believe me, said Horton, I tell you sincerely, my ears are quite keen and I heard him quite clearly. I know there's a person down there, and what's more, quite likely there's two, even three, even four, quite likely a family for all that we know, a family with children just starting to grow. So please, Horton said, as a favor to me, try not to disturb them, just let them be. I think you're a fool, laughed the sour kangaroo, and the young kangaroo in her pouch said, me too. You're the biggest blamed fool in the jungle of New, and the kangaroo plunged in the cool of the pool. What terrible splashing, the elephant frowned. I can't let my very small persons get drowned. I've got I've got to protect them. I'm bigger than they. So he plucked up the clover and hustled away. Through the high jungle treetops, the news quickly spread. He talks to a dust speck. He's out of his head. Just look at him walk with that speck on that flower. And Horton walked worrying almost an hour. Should I put this speck down? Horton thought with alarm. If I do, these small persons may come to great harm. I can't put it down, and I won't, after all. A person's a person, no matter how small. Then Horton stopped walking. The speck voice was talking. The voice was so faint he could just barely hear it. Speak up, please, said Horton. He put his ear near it. My friend, came the voice. You're a very fine friend. You've helped all us folks on this duck speck to no end. You saved all our houses, our ceilings and floors. You saved all our churches and grocery stores. Mean, Horton gasped. You have buildings there too. Oh, yes, piped the voice. We most certainly do. I know, called the voice. I'm too small to be seen, but I'm mayor of a town that is friendly and clean. Our buildings to you would seem terribly small, but to us who aren't big, they're wonderfully tall. My town is called Whoville, for I am a Who, and we Who's all are thankful and grateful to you. And Horton called back to the mayor of the town, you're safe now, don't worry, I won't let you down. But just as he spoke to the mayor on the speck, 3 big jungle monkeys climbed up Horton's neck. The Wickerman brothers came shouting, "What rot! This elephant's talking to who's who are not. There aren't any who's, and they don't have a mayor, and we're going to stop all this nonsense, so there." Snatched Horton's clover and carried it off to a black-bottomed eagle named Vlad Black the Cough, a mighty strong eagle and a very swift wings. And they said, "Will you kindly get rid of this thing?" And before the poor elephant even could speak, the eagle flew off with that flower in his beak. All that late afternoon and far into the night, the black-bottomed bird flapped his wings in, in fast flight, while Horton chased after with groans over stones that tattered his toenails and battered his bones. He begged, "Please don't harm all my little folks have a who have as much right to live as us bigger folks do." But far, far beyond him, the eagle kept flapping, and over his shoulder called back, "Quit your yapping. I'll fly the night through. I'm a bird, I don't mind it, and I'll hide them tomorrow where you'll never find it." At 6:56 the next morning, he did. It sure was a terrible place that he hid it. He looked, he let the small clover drop somewhere inside of a great patch of clovers 100 miles wide. "Find that," sneered the bird, "but I think you will fail." And he left with a flap of his black bottom tail. "I'll find it," cried Horton. "I'll find it or bust. I shall find my friends on that very, on my small speck of dust." And clover by clover with care, he picked up and searched them and called, "Are you there?" But clover by clover, he found that the one that he sought for was just not around. And by noon, poor Horton, more dead than alive, had picked, searched, and piled up 9,005. Wow. Then on through the afternoon, hour by hour, till he found them at last. Oh, on the 3 millionth flower. "My friend," cried the elephant, "tell me, oh, tell me, do tell, are you safe? Are you sound? Are you whole? Are you well?" From down on the speck came the voice of the mayor. We really, we really had trouble, much more than our share, when the black bottom birdie let go and we dropped. We landed so hard that our clocks have all stopped. Our teapots are broken, our rocking chairs smashed, and our bicycles tires all blew up when we crashed. So Horton, please," pleaded the voice of the mayor, "will you stick by us who's while we're making repairs?" "Of course," Horton answered, "of course I will stick. I will stick by you small folks through thin and through thick." A voice. For almost 2 days, you've run wild and insisted on chatting with people who've never existed. Such carryings on in our peaceful jungle. We've had quite enough of this bellowing bungle. And I'm here to state," snapped the big kangaroo, "that your silly nonsensical games is all through." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me too." With the help of the Wickerman brothers and dozens of the Wickerman's uncles and Wickerman cousins and Wickerman's in-laws, whose help all engaged, You're going to be roped and you're going to be caged. And as for the dust speck, that we shall boil in a hot steaming kettle of bezel nut oil. Boil it, gasped Horton. Oh, that you can't do. It's all full of persons. They'll prove it to you. Mr. Mayor, Horton called. Mr. Mayor, you've got to prove now that you really are there. So call a big meeting, get everyone out, make every who holler, make every who shout, make every who scream. If you don't, every who is going to end up in a bezel nut stew. And down on the dustbag, the scared little mayor quick called a big meeting in Whoville Town Square. And his people cried loudly. They cried out of fear. We are here. We are here. We are here. We are here. The elephant smiled that was clear as a bell. You kangaroo surely heard that as very well. All I heard, snapped the big kangaroo, was a breeze and a faint sound of wind through the far distant trees. I heard no small voice, and you didn't either. And the young kangaroo and her pouch said, me neither. Grab him, they shouted, and cage the big dope. Lasso his stomach with 10 miles of rope. Tie the knot tight so he'll never shake loose. Then dunk that dumb speck in the bee nuzzle juice. Horton fought back with great vigor and vim, but the Wickerman gang was too many for him. They bear him, they mauled him, they start to haul they start to haul him into his cage, but he managed to call to the mayor, don't give up, I believe in you all. A person's a person, no matter how small. And you very small people will not have to die if you make yourself heard. So come on now and try. The mayor grabbed a tom-tom. He started to smack it, and all over Whoville, they hooped up a racket. They rattled tin kettles, they beat on brass pans, on garbage pail tops, and on old cranberry cans. They blew on bazookas and blasted great toots, on clarinets, oop paws, and boom paws and flutes. Great gusts of loud rackets rang high through the air. They rattled and shook the whole sky. And the mayor called up through the howling, mad hulaboos, hulabaloo. Hey Horton, how's that? Is Hey Horton, how's that? Is our sound coming through? And Horton called back, I can hear you just fine, but the kangaroo's ears aren't as strong quite as mine. They don't hear a thing, and you sure all your boys are doing their best, and they all are making noise. Ooh, and are you sure every who down in Whoville is working? Quick, look through your town. Is there anyone shirking? The town rushed the mayor from the east to the west, but everyone seemed to be doing their best. Everyone seemed to be yapping and yipping. Everyone seemed to be beeping and bipping. But it wasn't enough. All this ruckus and roar, he had to find someone to help him make more. He raced through each building. He searched floor by floor. And just as he felt he was going nowhere, and almost about to give up in despair, he suddenly burst through a door, and the mayor discovered one shrieker, quite hidden away in the Fairfax apartment 12J. A very small shrieker named Jojo was just standing and bouncing a yo-yo. Now, not making a sound, not a yip, not a chirp. And the mayor rushed inside and grabbed the young twerp. and he climbed with the lad up the Eiffelberg Tower. This, cried the mayor, in your town's darkest hour. The time for all who have blood in that is red to come to the aid of their country, he said. We've got to make noise in greater amounts. So open your mouth, lad, for every voice counts. Thus he spoke as he climbed. When they got to the top, the lad cleared his throat and he shouted out, "Yup!" And that yop, that one small extra yop, put it over. Finally, at last, from the speck of the clover, their voices were heard. They rang out clear and clean. And the elephant smiled. Do you see what I mean? They prove they are there. They've proven they prove they are people, no matter how small, and their whole world was saved by the smallest of all. How true! Yes, how true," said the big kangaroo. And from now on, you know what I'm planning to do. From now on, I'm going to protect them with you. And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me too. From sun in the summer, from rain in the fallish, I'm going to protect them, no matter how smallish."